All right, Zero Limits listeners. On today's Zero Limits podcast, I am joined by a very special guest. Now, we've had to travel down to Sydney, and I've been talking to this bloke for a few weeks now through a good friend, Matt Williams. Basically, we're at the Hot Potato Studios, and if anyone knows what the Hot Potato Studios or what the Hot Potato is, it's actually the Wiggles. And we're here with Anthony Field. He is former infantry, which is a good thing. Mate, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good, mate. I really feel a bit out of my comfort zone here because you guys are, war veterans, and I love my time in the army, mate. I really did. I've still got buddies, my mates, my brothers, still, even though I signed up for 3 years. I did the 3 years, but great to talk, mate.
No, mate, I appreciate your time. As I said before, you've been part of my family for well over 15 years now, with my eldest child being 16, my youngest now being 3, going through that Wiggles stage. I reckon I've been to maybe 10 or so Wiggles concerts. Every time I've worn a different shirt, the only shirt you can never get is the blue one. You can never find it. It's always out of stock.
Yeah, they probably don't even stock it.
But in regards to that, originally you were the green Wiggle.
Yep.
But according to the green screen, it couldn't.
Yeah, I got a green skivvy originally, and it was, this is going way back, 1991, and green screen and blue screen were just coming in, and we had a green screen, and I didn't realise if I wore the green skivvy, half my body would disappear. It was funny, mate.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. What was the green? The army, mate. Was it?
I think it was the olive trap.
Yeah, right, mate. Again, mate, I really appreciate you coming on and giving us your time, and especially inviting us here to the Wiggles studio and taking us on a little private tour, which has been absolutely hectic. Like me and my brother's here, obviously doing the video side of things. We went down to the studio, and you guys were actually doing like the Wiggles TV show, which was like it's surreal because, again, I come from that music background and or extreme sports, and I get to hang out with all these rich and famous and athletes and actors and all this stuff. And I think we're starstruck today because we're just like, holy shit, this has been part of our families for so long. But, mate, what I want to do, let's crack off right from the start. Let's find out where you grew up. Before you got into this Wiggle side of things, let's get back to the basics, mate. Back to young Anthony. Where'd you grow up?
Yeah, I grew up in Lalor Park, Sydney's west, and the Housing Commission house. We had 7 kids. Mum and Dad had 7 kids. We were 4 boys in one room and 3 girls in the other, and 1 bathroom. We had a great time, mate. Lalor Park was pretty rough growing up there, and but really enjoyed it.
Yeah, right, mate. And how many siblings in the
I had 3 brothers, 3 sisters. Lalor Park, I went to St Bernadette's there, the school, and rugby league was the king for us. We used to have some great games. My dad was the coach of the footy team. Music was a part of our lives. My mum was a great piano player, and she told us there was 3 things in life for her: babies, music, and flowers. Yeah, I like music, and that's probably what I got from her.
Yeah, mate, back on the footy side of things, two things. Tigers, where's this coming to play? Because they're rubbish.
The Tigers, yeah. You know what? I grew up in the 60s, so 1969.
Balmain.
I was 6 years old, and the Tigers, Balmain beat South Sydney against all odds. Yeah. And that was just like the moon landing was that year as well, but I think that was
bigger.
So, mate, yeah, and West Tigers, I'm really, we've had such a hard time. My son's been following. He's 16, so he's never seen success, but it's good for his character. It really is.
Yeah.
And he understands that. That you don't. Loyalty's a good thing.
Yeah, mate. Well, we understand it come from Brisbane originally, and I'm a Bronco, and we hit the depths. A couple of years ago now. Obviously got the wooden spoon, and far out.
Well, we had the
that
ones
taught me a bit of resilience.
Do you know what? We went up to, we were up in Brisbane recently and saw the Tigers play Brisbane. And a good mate of Marty Kapow and Billy Walters was an old Tiger, ex-Tiger.
Yeah.
And they invited us into the Broncos dressing room and they had such a good spirit there. Yeah. They've got such a good club, good spirit at the moment. So I don't think they'll be far from the top in the years to come, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, you could just feel it.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple of years ago they didn't have that, but they've got it now.
That's that Queensland spark.
Yeah.
State of Origin coming up.
Well, I also think teams and clubs go through cycles. Even the Wiggles, I was just saying earlier, mate, that when we a couple of years ago, I didn't think we were gelling. And now we've got a brand new bunch, but we are gelling. Everyone's supportive. And go back to the Army, you can have that in the Army too, where a section really get on well and support each other,
Yeah. Now, what I want to do is let's go back to your childhood. Now, I understand that your old man was a pharmacist, and I was hearing one story that he actually had a heart attack, and the nurse brought in cigarettes the next day.
Dad, there was a couple of things. He was refereeing a rugby league game out at Colleton, and he had a massive heart attack, and it was pre sort of mobile phones and ambulances, so we put Dad in the back of our car, and Mum drove him to Blacktown Hospital, and he wasn't supposed to survive. And actually that night, the doctors told Mum he's not going to make it, and he did die he had one of those death experiences. But he did make it. But the next day, the nurse came by and offered him a pack of cigarettes, which
is the cause, pretty much.
That was the days, mate. But Dad had the sense to go, no, it's okay. But he had another heart attack. His pharmacy was at Seven Hills, and Dad was a very amazing guy. He opened a methadone clinic for the junkies around Seven Hills. So he had his pharmacy, and then at night time he had a methadone clinic, and the guys would come and get methadone to get down from the heroin. But of course, the same guys he was giving the methadone to came back and robbed him, and with tomahawks. They came in with tomahawks, and they robbed him once. And then a couple of months later, one of the guys came in with a pistol, and they held a pistol to my sister's head.
Holy shit.
And Dad was an amazing guy. He grabbed the pistol off the guy, and he fired it, but it didn't go off. The guy ran out, and Dad had a heart attack. But he got in the paper, but Dad, in the days before you knew about PTSD, Dad, after that, he grew a beard, and he said to me, I feel like I've been violated. And he was never the same. He sold the pharmacy and went to work in a hospital as a pharmacist because he was just sick of being held up, and he really went into a bit of depression, which I had no idea what depression was. I had no idea what PTSD, but he obviously had it, Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. So in regards to your family life, obviously you had so many siblings around. How did you guys go at schooling? Like one of the common themes we have with us military guys is that we're not the brightest sparks. Not even that, we don't apply ourselves in schooling. How did you go? Did you apply yourself or?
It's funny, mate. Dad earned all this money. We went to Blacktown School. Then he went to school at really well-to-do school, boarding school, St Joseph's, which was a really good school to go to, rugby school. Like I was a leaguey, but I went there. And but when I went to school, like I won't go into it, but I had a bad time there, so to speak. And schoolwork became the last thing that I did, and I absolutely failed school. I was in the lowest 10%. When I started there, I was like way up, and then by the end, because things happened there that was out of my control.
Yeah,
that boarding school were not good for a kid or for anyone. So you're right. At the end of that, I went, "What am I going to do?" I was lost, and I really did. I saw an Elvis movie, GI Blues, and I went, well, that's it. I'm going to join the army. But I really was lost. I didn't know what to do, mate. And so, yeah, like a lot of other guys there, school, I failed. You know.
It's crazy because over the last few years, I followed you on Instagram, my personal account. I've seen that Elvis influence, and then I've watched a few podcasts or listened to a few interviews since, and obviously found that connection. That's the reason, because you thought that if you join the army, it's got to be like an Elvis life where there's girls singing, guitars.
Oh, mate, it was. But when you think about it, poor Elvis, he made GI Blues, which made it out to be really fun and all that. But he actually did join the army.
He
was
did,
conscripted, but he was a Nasho, and he was in the tanks and in Germany, and they say that's where he developed his drug habit, staying up on the guard duty and all that stuff. So yeah, but I actually didn't know about that. I really did think it was going to be, but ironically, I did go to Germany with the army.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of GI Blues there.
Yeah, which we'll definitely touch on. Is there any family history within the Defence Force here in Australia?
My uncle Bobby, that's about it, mate. He was in the army and he got his eye shot out. But that was it, So yeah.
So outside of Elvis, there was no other influence. It was Elvis.
No, and it was really Elvis, yeah, and we were out at Kapuka. They have a concert. Did you guys ever have a concert when you went through Kapuka? Like they had it was just absolute hell. Like at Kapuka, but they had this concert for everybody, and but it was one we did ourselves, right? So we did a military strip, which was played stripper music, and took the SLR apart. That was the military strip with stripper music playing. Thought that was a funny one. And then I sang a song called I'm Proud to Be a Rookie from Kapuka, which was I'm Proud to Be an Okie from Muskogee. And anyway, we did. So Elvis sort of did a bit of music while I was in there. It was good.
Yeah, but obviously you joined 82, but before that you guys started the Cockroaches.
Yeah,
you and your brothers.
Yeah, we did, but again, I was just lost, mate. I enjoyed it, but I just I always suffered from depression. So it's funny with PTSD. I had PTSD from boarding school, not from the army. But I didn't know. But my dad was really worried about me, and I think that's why I relate to the boys later on that I met. But yeah, the Cockies were going, and it was fantastic. But I was just so unhappy and didn't have a direction. So I joined up, and
what's the process back then? Obviously, you're probably, I think, of all the guests we've had, I think you're probably one of the only ones that joined in that early 80s period. And obviously, moving forward to my time, 1901, I went to a recruiting station, and the rest is history. What was the process?
Yeah,
back
it was
then?
down. It was down at Central. I don't know if it's still there in the Sydney. And I just went down and signed up that day, and they said, "Oh, well, there was no big physicals, nothing. I just signed up, and then I told my mum and all that. And they all came down to Central, and my mum was bawling her eyes out, man. It was like, and I was going out with a girl at the time, and I said I've joined the army, and I thought she'd be really supportive, and she said, "You bastard!" Like I didn't understand that meant that I was leaving.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand.
Yeah, and obviously this is post-Vietnam too, so obviously we had that at that stage, the Vietnam War finished, and we're going through all that anti-war protests, and all that stuff was going on as well. It
was 1982, so I think it was 75. Everyone got out. From
Saigon,
Vietnam.
MVA.
And I think, look, this is just me. I think the day the Whitlam government got in, they said you could stay in the army, we can get out, and we lost half the army. Half of the soldiers just got out because there were a lot of Nashos, right? But but you're right, army was not a cool thing to do, and there was, it was kind of swept under the carpet, and that was what I found when I was there. There were so many Vietnam vets good guys, but they just didn't get any help at all.
Yeah, well, as you said, mate, PTSD was, mate, it's only just getting pretty much recognised in the last probably 6 to 7 years. Even when I was in, it was have a cup of concrete and harden the cup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it never existed early 2000s. But so let's touch on the Kapuka side of things, obviously. Yeah. You've come from a bit of a rough growing up through schooling. You get down to Kapuka. All these guys, all your instructors are Vietnam vets. You're getting into the time where they're yelling and screaming. Political correctness does not exist.
That's so right, mate. We had the gas chamber, with the do they still do that? We throw you in the gas chamber.
Oh yeah, with the tablets, cook the tablets.
Yeah, and then they go
take the mask off. Yeah.
There were a lot of things that, but I loved it.
Thrived.
I found the officers and the NCOs. I found them absolutely fair. Yeah, they abused the hell out of you. Like, the first day I was there, private field, you're not on. Recruiting field. You're not on Bondi Beach smoking drugs anymore, which I never did. But I was known as recruit effing field. That was what they called me the whole time I was there. But I respected them. But there was butt stroking going on when when.
Was it?
You get butt stroked if you fell behind in the.
You get butt stroked.
You butt stroked.
Did you get butt stroked?
I didn't. No, I didn't. I was too scared, man. I did. Did they have the veggie patch when you were there?
No, I don't think so.
You get back squatted to the veggie patch. No. That meant you were like a vegetable. Like you. That's not politically correct, is it? But I mean,
it's not.
In those days,
yeah.
At Kapuka, if you, basically you're brain dead, you're a veggie.
Yeah.
So you'll be in the veggie patch field. I'll tell you what happened. I had a fear of heights, right? So you had to get out to get weak, whatever it was. You had to
that high wire course.
The high wire thing. Blah 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 blah. I had a fear of heights, and I just couldn't do it. But then finally they said you're going to go to the veggie patch, and I went up. So I thought I've got to do this. So I did it, and all the guys in the platoon, clapped me over the. And Sergeant Ragler said, "Don't clap him. You should have done it a week ago or 2 weeks ago." There was no...
Yeah.
But I liked it. I liked it. There was also... I remember my birthday. I was out bush at Singleton. This is the infantry centre. And one of the sergeant instructors came by and went, "Apparently it's your birthday." And I went, "Yes, Sergeant. That was it." I loved it. It was just, I took it. It's like, this is
especially Singo. Obviously, you move up to Singleton.
Yeah.
Singleton is IETs, which is just specific for infantry tactics.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So how long was it back then? Do you remember? 10 weeks. I think it's 10. I don't know what it is.
It was 10 weeks.
Mine was 10 weeks. Yeah.
It was 10 weeks, and we stayed in those old. They're probably still there. The Second World War.
It's exact same.
Yeah.
I don't think it's changed.
I loved Singleton. And you know what? I had a funny thing. When you were out bush, the salvos would turn up out of nowhere with the brew. Did they do that?
Yeah. The Sally Man.
The Sally Man. Yeah, the Sally Man. And this is how naive I was. I really respected. I thought, this is incredible. You'd love getting that, and they were so nice as opposed to what you were going through. And I said to one of the Sally men, I'd like to be a Sally man. How do I do it? He said, "Oh, it's a religion." And I went, "Oh," I didn't even know it was a religion, but I really respected them. I think,
they brought
the job
cordial.
they do is fantastic.
Cordial and cookies.
Yeah.
I used to just knock off so much. As soon as that truck come along, everyone's just filling their pockets, knocking off stuff from the Sally man. Far out, mate. So, at what stage did you get the preference to go to what battalion? Was it any other preferences back then?
You put in for it, and I must admit I put in for Holsworthy, and I got it.
Yeah.
Luckily.
Because at this stage, obviously 5-7 is down in Holsworthy.
Yeah, it was 5-7. It was funny. We on the bus from Kapuka, we dropped, I don't know who, that must have been artillery at Manly.
Yeah.
And God, we thought, whoa, man, that's so good. Look at that. And then we go to Holsworthy.
And it's a shithole.
Yeah. It wasn't Manly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy because even when I got there in early 2000s, same thing, mate. It was a depressing place, Holsworthy.
Yeah.
It just seemed like it was always dark clouds over Holsworthy.
Yeah, but you know what?
But the best time of my life in saying that.
Best time.
Yeah.
And it was a different time. Now, this was peacetime army.
Mm.
And we were all, we did our training. But there was a lot of waiting around for something to happen. And we look at you guys now, because a lot of the guys I served with, a lot of them stayed and actually, they went out, they Timor and, went to Malaysia. But a lot of the guys didn't. And there's kind of regret. They feel like, we shouldn't be, we didn't actually go overseas, but they would have, and we would have, and we were hanging to do it.
Yeah.
But that was naive as well, wasn't it? Do you think that's naive, or did you?
Mate, it was the same when I was in. Like
you were just waiting to get over.
You
there.
Don't join the infantry to
sit around,
sit on the barracks and do exercise. You join the infantry to go overseas and shoot bad people in the face.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do. Exactly. It's like being a plumber, training all your life and not fixing a toilet.
Yeah, that's exactly
a little bit different, but same type of thing.
Yeah, and there really wasn't the political correctness, and you were in the army. The bottom line was you were learning how to, defend the country and what that involved. So it was.
And what was going on in the world at that stage? Obviously, we had Afghanistan was in swing with the Russians.
With the Russians, yeah.
So there was conflict going on around the world.
Actually, when we were there, the Falklands happened. We thought we might be going there. They gave, this is crazy, but they gave live rounds. They did a live round shoot at Puckapunyal, and the guys could shoot. I think rabbits and stuff like that. Just because they thought we were going. There was a couple of times, but I can't remember where. But we went to Germany, and that was still a flashpoint. The wall hadn't come down. Yeah. So
So you get in 82. You're posted to 5-7. When do you go to Germany? When's that?
84, and I went with Delta Company and.
And what was it? Was it like a peacekeeping thing, or was it just like a exercise slash be there in country type thing?
No, there was 4 soldiers. They discovered Australian soldiers. That were kind of unknown soldiers, but they were Second World War.
Yeah,
and I think again it was before the DNA, because they would be able to DNA them now. But
of course, yeah.
So we went over to commemorate these guys, to learn about it, but we also did an exercise with NATO forces over there, and we were with the Panzer Grenadiers for 2 months, and the Green Howards from Wales or Northern England, and we were, we were with the APCs that they used in Vietnam, and the Panzer Grenadiers were up at Leopard 1, 2 or something like that. They were turning on their tracks, and it was insane. Like the technology, we were all just standing there going, "What the hell?" And they also pulled out those guided missiles out of a briefcase. They gave us a demonstration, and what we were told that the Australian Army at that stage or the Navy used one of those a year, right? And we were seeing a row of 20 guys doing this. We were in, what the hell? And then when we did the exercise, now that was the closest to me seeing war. Night became day. Night became day. There was so much, this was all the NATO forces.
Yeah.
They were going through towns in Germany. We were the Green Howards in the back of there, and they'd just run over fences and stuff and make note of it, like civilian fences, and they were all. yeah, it was an amazing time, you know. Then we went to Checkpoint Charlie, and we were allowed to go on the wall on our side, and we were warned not to look at the East German soldiers or make rude signs, right? Because you could see them.
Yeah.
Because they'll take photos of you and it'll be used as public relations. But what do you think we did?
Diggers being diggers.
Well,
Diggers being diggers.
exactly.
I know exactly what you used to
We
do.
were like,
yeah.
yeah, oh, that's. I thought there was cameras. Everybody did it. You
Yeah.
just couldn't
Yeah,
help
of
it.
course, yeah.
So, yeah, and we had a great time in Germany, and I played the bagpipes at Arnhem, in Holland, where the guys fell. It was brilliant, you know. Yeah,
So how long were you over there for?
I was about 2 months.
Oh, shit, that's decent.
Yeah.
Far out. That's
Yeah.
I don't think I've honestly ever heard of it before.
No, I don't think anyone got a medal or
No,
stuff
yeah.
like that. It was kind of like could it be undercut? I think they could keep a lid on it. I think at the time we would.
Might be entitled to something, mate.
You
might be entitled to something.
Oh,
Who
I
knows?
don't. Yeah, well,
it's far out.
it's pretty wild.
It's because it sounds like an exercise, but not an exercise. It's
That's
like,
exactly right.
we're going to put you on. We're going to say you're going on an exercise, but if something happens, go sort it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. And the Red Brigade were around at the time. But it was pretty.
Even just to see the Berlin Wall as well. That's
incredible.
That's history, mate. That's history.
And but this, when you the Green Howards, they called us skippies, right? And we played a soccer game versus Germany, and now think 1984, right? Australia really wasn't a soccer playing nation at the time, right? So we had a soccer game, a basketball game. That's all the common sports we could play. So the soccer game we lost. I said in an interview once 12-0, but I think it was 20-0. I honestly think it was 20-0. But the basketball game, this is the famous story, we lost, but we won the fight. It was Germany. You're playing Germany in soccer. But, it's bloody terrible.
Yeah.
If we would have played rugby league, we would have beaten them. Yeah.
How big was the contingent? How many guys?
It was D Company, yeah.
It was the whole company?
Yeah, I think it was, yeah.
Oh, so good.
I got a photo.
100 blokes plus?
Yeah.
Good about 100 blokes
Yeah,
plus?
yeah, that'd be right, yeah.
Far out. There would have been a lot of trouble going on.
Yeah, or maybe it was the company, I think, yeah. Yeah, I'll show you the picture, maybe.
Yeah. Far out. So obviously you get back from there. At what stage, are you thinking about getting out?
Oh no, I got another couple years. I didn't want to get out. I loved it, man. Go and push. I just really enjoyed my time. And I like it was a Tiger Battalion, So But I think when it came to I did sign up for 3 years at those stages. It's 3 or 6. When it was time for me to re-enlist, I actually my brothers kept the rock band, the Cockroaches, going, and they were going, "Oh man, you should come out and do it," and all that stuff. And I used to pay guys sometimes to do my guard duty, so I could go out and play a gig.
Yeah.
And they do it,
You still do it now, yeah.
Yeah,
I was doing it the same
still do
thing,
that. Yeah. Do they still do
Yeah,
it?
Christmas, especially the public holidays, you get higher rates from. So it'd be like $300-400 for a public holiday or a Christmas.
I was paying like $200 for. Yeah. And you know what else I remember? At Holsworthy, the car park, the cars, the guys loved their Tiranas, SLR 2000. That was
back then. Yeah.
And the guys would spend all their money
on
cars, which it was fantastic.
Yeah.
They'd hide them up. I'm not a car guy.
Yeah.
But I used to love the pride they had in those cars. And
Yeah.
Is that still the same?
Mate, still as soon as you deploy overseas, you come back. I bought a HSV.
Yeah, there you go.
Heaps of boys did it, and you'd always see the crashed car in the car park as well.
Yeah.
They've spent 50 grand on a car and they've gone out and written it off, and it's just sitting in the car park. But yeah, mate, still, I'm sure it's still happening to this day.
Yeah.
Young kids, a lot of money.
This is also, I'll tell you something funny. A couple of years ago, I got married, and then it was about 10 years ago. My wife said, "Oh, have you got a will?" And I said, "I don't know." And then I realised the only will I ever signed was when I was at Kapuka, and I left the $14 that I had and everything I had to my girlfriend at the time. Do you believe that? So.
And it's been on the same will. So, yeah.
So the Wiggles success, all that. But I saw a lawyer and he said, look, you better make a new one, but you probably get away with, because you're married, that sort of makes, but it was very funny, isn't it? And at the time, you got nothing.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in Kapuka, you go, oh, yeah, I don't
care. It's funny you say that. It's same will I've signed. My brother is he's in control of everything. My wife actually brought it up the other day. She's like,
when Kapuka?
I did it in the battalion, I'm pretty sure, before we went on deployment the first time.
Yeah, right.
Signed a will, and he's still on it. So, and that's my only current will.
Yeah,
my wife was blowing up the other week.
Trying to fix it.
Yeah, he can have.
He looks like a good guy.
Yeah, he can have all my debt. That's what he can have. Mate, so 84 Germany, 85. This is when you get out.
Yeah.
And what's the reason?
Well, there was a really. By the way, can I just say again? Can I tell you one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, the army in those days, peacetime army, Vietnam vets, mate, people from I loved, because you got people from all walks of life in there. But what there was we had a boozer on at Holsworthy Sporties Club, and mate, there was so much fun, but it was pretty before random breath testing and all that.
Wild.
So you could go for lunch, and then you could go operate machinery and all weapons of mass destruction. I hope this doesn't cause, and if anyone disagrees with me, that was in the army in the 80s.
Yeah, it was the 80s.
But that's how I remember it. You race up the fire at lunchtime, the boozer. Oh, it's good fun.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me of another story I heard on an interview you did. There was one time you were driving around with your old man, and he's got the brown paper bag and having a sip from a beer and just driving along.
Mate, that's how I grew up in Layla Park. It wasn't even a brown paper bag. On the Holdens, they had like a long neck holder. So he'd have a long neck and a cigarette. He'd be driving. There's 7 kids in the car, but he wasn't being irresponsible.
Yeah,
that's just what you did.
Yeah. It's different, yeah.
Oh, it's different.
Well, let's say we grew up in the 80s as well, and we used to go to the pub all the time with Dad. Walk down to the pub in Brisbane. We'd sit at the bar. We'd be having a Coke or a milk, and Dad would get absolutely sloshed, and we'd walk back with Dad back home, and it was just like a regular thing. And there was other times where he used to send us down to the corner store with a note, pack of Winnie Blues, 6-pack of beer from the servo. We'd just give it to the guy, give him $20. It'd be $2 left over. We'd get our lollies and walk back with a pack of smokes and give it to Dad.
Give Dad the lollies, you would do the rest.
Out the back having a cigarette. But it's great, we understand. Totally crazy.
Yeah.
So 85 again, the reason why you're getting out is because obviously music's starting to take
it was really
priority.
Just the music's taken off, and I really was torn. I really loved being at 5-7. I was in the pipes and drums. So we used to drive the armoured personnel ambulance. We were stretcher bearers traditionally.
Yeah.
And the guys, it was a real close group there, they used to call us, again, this is politically incorrect, but they used to call us the and drugs, which is another time, but that's what we were called.
Yeah.
Yeah. But see, so that was just how it was, But we did it, and I'm pretty sure, the guys enjoyed. We were on exercise. We'd pipe the guys back into the battalion, or where all the parades, the pipes and drums were there. 3RAR had pipes and drums.
Yeah, they did.
And it was a really great tradition,
Massive.
Leaving that, I thought, okay, I'm going to the Cockroaches, the rock and roll band my brothers are in, they're going, but maybe I'll join the police force as well, join the pipes and drums there.
Yeah.
So I contacted Pipe Major Brown, I think his name was at the time, and I was going to get straight in because, Army, pipes and drums. And the government that came in disbanded the police pipes and drums at that time. So that was it. I was kind of lost, and I went, okay, I'll just be a rock and roller. But I missed it. I didn't get out because I didn't love it. And I was telling you earlier, I got a plaque, my last from the pipes and drums with the 5.7, and on the back, Private Cara he wrote, "There's nothing out there for you, Tony." I love it. They're all bagging Civvy Street.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, far out. What's he doing? Is he still in, or he's out?
He was in for a long time.
Was he? Yeah.
Yeah, good guy. Oh, all those guys are good guys. They lasted a lot longer than I did. And it's funny, my old corporal, I write to him every day, Kenny Holmes, and Joe Royston, he was sergeant. He still writes to Sarge. I call him Sarge, still, Joe left the Army, and he was. I hope he doesn't mind me saying. I'm sure that he became homeless.
Yeah.
And his wife unexpectedly passed away, and he was in a real bad way. But Legacy helped him out, and he's back on his feet, which is great.
Legacy's awesome.
But we sort of help each other through because all of us, for whatever reason, we all need help.
Yeah. And as you know, mate, Army guys, they stick together regardless.
That brotherhood,
that's it, mate. And you probably haven't seen some of these guys since probably the 80s.
Yeah.
A couple of them, you'd see them tomorrow and you'd just pick off exactly where you were.
Exactly right, man. Yeah. There's one guy, Gunner Bentley, and I reckon Gunner Bentley he came to 5.7. Now, he's called Gunner Bentley because he was a gunner at the 812 regiment, I think, which artillery which was at Holsworthy.
Yeah.
And his story is, and if Gunner's watching, he can refute it because he reckons it's not true, but they were doing exercises at Holsworthy, and he got something wrong and blew up an unmanned Mr. Whippy van, and he got sent to 5.7 as punishment. That's why he was known as Gunner, and it's the best story. We all believe it's true, and he swears it's not true. But still mates with Gunner, and he's just he's a Vietnam vet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I might have to get him on podcast.
He still, loves the regiment. And,
yeah, right. So 85, you get out. The Cockroaches are kicking off. How was the transition for you? Getting out, losing that identity, leaving the Army. It's like a football team, but 24/7, and you know everything about the next person next to you. So how was that getting out? And
well, this will surprise you, and maybe not surprise you. When I got out, these are things I've never said in an interview, but when we got out, we were doing a show at a town hall in Sydney, Blaine Cove Town Hall, and the guy running it had a sound meter, and every time we go over a certain thing, the sound meter would cut the sound off. Anyway, so we worked out a way to make it not work. Anyway, he came on stage and unplugged my amplifier. Now, before the Army, I would never have done this, but I grabbed the guy and I said, basically, take this outside, mate. Let's take this outside. Like I was still Army.
Yeah.
It was only a couple of months afterwards, and I was still like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And going, whoa, and that was it. And I regret it, of course, but I got a lifetime ban from
Town Hall.
But that was an Army jacked up.
Is that ban still in place now? Is that ban still in place now?
Look, I probably is.
So the Wiggles allowed, but you're not.
Yeah, that's right. No, that was wild.
Yeah, mate. It was, but you got to understand because you come from that environment, and this is what I tell people, that the infantry or the Army itself or combat corps, it's the only job in the world where your first role is to kill.
Yeah, that's
There
right.
is no other job in the world that
Yeah.
teaches you to kill another human being.
Yeah,
Even the police, police, it's all about preserving life and,
it's totally
kill
different.
if you need to. But,
and again, with a sense of humour and with different times. I don't know if you ever saw those. We used to wear T-shirts, travel the world and kill people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, it's terrible, but
Yeah. It was still in when we were in, and then obviously that death symbology
They've
that
changed a lot of
kind
that.
of got out now.
Yeah.
And now we've got flowers.
death from above. And all that stuff.
Yeah. I was from Mortars, so I was lock up your daughters. Here comes Mortars.
Yeah,
But that's all gone
That's-
now. Like it's all flowers and rainbows now.
it's so funny when you not funny at all. I don't mean that word at all, but it's really interesting when I talk to the guys that I was in that stayed a lot longer than I did, and all these things that are going on at the moment without going into it, but they really do have an understanding of how things can get misconstrued.
Exactly.
And how things in a wartime situation or in an army situation are totally different
Exactly.
to how you'd look at it as a civilian,
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
mate. And I guess that's the issue we're going through now with the Brereton report and all that type of stuff. I don't want to go into it because it's damaging, but a lot of people have made assumptions of what they've seen that haven't been there. So, but anyway, let's move away
no,
from
not
that.
going
Yeah.
on, but just, it really is. I do like the way that the army boys, are very,
Patriotic.
that's it.
Yeah. So obviously back to the Cockroaches, mate. Moving forward to 1991, obviously the Wiggles comes into play, but where does all this come into play? So the Cockroaches are doing well. You've got a few songs out there. They're on the charts. Where does it transition? Because you go you go to uni, don't you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the Cockies are going well, but then my brother Paul's baby has passed away with sudden infant death syndrome, and Bernadette, and it just shocked us all. We went, oh man, and I sort of started saying to myself, there's got to be more to life than going up and down. Although that was great, but it was the fun sort of went. So I thought, I'll get a university degree. Now again, I failed school, but luckily at the time there was no fees to go to university, and you could do a mature age test. So I passed the mature age test, and I went to university to become an early childhood teacher, which was the extreme opposite of army. It was a world of,
just different,
different. But it was really great. I loved it. Yeah.
So you obviously then you start working. One of your projects was something to do with music, and then you had to create.
What it was when you're becoming a teacher? One, for a start, I was myself, Murray, were only 3 guys in 100 years have ever been preschool teachers through that place. So we were like a man doing this job. It was really different. But one of the courses in music was theatre in education, music in education, and I put a project together, and that's how the Wiggles came about. I got Murray, recruited Murray, Greg, there was a couple other guys, Jeff from the Cockies.
So that's where Jeff comes in. Yeah, because what I've heard is obviously you send a sample of a song home with one of the mothers, and then apparently the next day she's come back and just gone, my child will not stop listening to this.
That's right. 43 times they counted it, Dorothy the Dinosaur, and when we made the album, I said to Jeff, mate, would you help out play piano? He went, how long is it going to take? And, of course it took 20 years or whatever for you. So, no, it was just fantastic, Yeah.
Yeah, and then your first concert was in Randwick at a daycare centre for 12 kids.
Yeah.
And that was a banger?
It was fantastic. You know what? That's exactly right. With the Wiggles, again, it was more about the process than the product, as in we just enjoyed getting up there and singing songs, and we didn't care if there was an audience or not. People sometimes say, did it for all the money. We never did it for the money. Still don't do it for the money.
How did you know it was going to turn into...
You had
no idea it was going to turn into what it is now. No idea.
Mate,
coming from the military too, like it's a total polar opposite.
But again, what did I learn from the Army?
Perseverance.
Well, I carried all my bags in the left hand for a start.
Yeah, yeah.
You never get out of that,
Yeah,
right?
no.
I was squaring away things,
Yeah.
know, like, just
Attention
really,
to detail.
yeah.
And as perseverance, you've had that drive to just get it, like keep doing it, regardless, even if there was only 12 kids.
And over the years, I've learned about that, that they still have the expression Jack, someone's
Oh,
Jack.
yeah, everyone's, yeah.
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 So those when you have a team or a group of people and, one of them's just in it for themselves, they just go, he's really Jack,
Yeah,
is that right?
He's still
Yeah.
Jack, yeah. There's
Yeah,
plenty of those
or
one out.
if you carry it, you share it. Would that be right?
Yeah.
So I kind of brought that along, try to instill that, you're not there for yourselves.
Yeah.
Here for everyone. And, sometimes as groups of Wiggle touring been great, and sometimes that, you get one or two that aren't like that. But at the moment, it's fantastic.
Yeah. So back to 1991, you write your first studio album.
Yep.
And it's sold 100,000 copies straight up. And then from there, basically, this is where you're just like, oh, shit, we're onto something. Like, this is...
Yeah, it was expected to sell 100 copies.
Yeah,
and, so it's just word of mouth. There's no radio play. There was no...
nothing.
TV. So it was just a big... What's happened? And I was still teaching preschool at the time. And then Greg rang and he said, you might want to think about giving up teaching because they're getting crowds coming to the shows and all that,
Because you guys are playing like local little areas, RSLs and whatever.
Yeah, what we did, we got together with the Nursing Mothers Association, and if they sold a ticket, they would get, whatever, I'm not sure how much, but they get percentage of the ticket, so it was a fundraiser for them. And it also put money in our pockets, and it really was a win-win. So a lot of the Nursing Mothers Associations, got great cash flow from the Wiggle shows, and we, it kept us going too.
Oh, it's so crazy just coming from, again, it's the polar opposite. Come from a war fighting machine to acting up in front of kids. You know what I mean? Like it's just. And I guess for me, we understand it as fathers. We understand that you can, one day, for me, I was working in Iraq and Afghanistan only a few years ago.
Unbelievable, mate. Yeah.
I'll be one day, under threat from ISIS or the Taliban. The next day, I'll be back in Newcastle with my kid, playing Legos or acting, being a child.
Yeah.
Is that what you look? Because obviously, again, coming from the military, we're just big children.
Yeah.
We are big children.
And that's what I loved about the military. Yeah. It was you get to play with
no responsibilities. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. But again, mate, what you guys go through is a lot more than I ever went through. But you're right. It's a certain way of that you have to, and I understand how it works. That there is the need to know basis, the chain of command. All that is there so it runs smoothly, and that running this show, you can't have a person in their first week coming in and dancing and saying, why are you playing this show? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? You say, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Your role now is just dancing. A couple of years' time, let's talk.
Yeah.
So I did learn a lot about. All that stuff.
Structure. Well,
Structure,
again,
yeah.
that's military because you first get in, you're the lid, you're the jube or the young soldier. Shut your mouth and just follow. Once you get older, more experienced, and then you can start, throwing your 2 cents in. But until then, just shut up.
Yeah.
Unless
that's
how the ship runs.
Yeah. I was all too happy in the army to listen to whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
Because I never ventured an opinion. It was good. I got on with everyone.
Yeah. And then, so from that 91 period, and this is where the Wiggles every single year just started growing. And it started going obviously worldwide. And then as soon as it hits that worldwide market, that's when it just went bonkers, absolutely bonkers, which is crazy.
Yeah, mate. So going into America, we played Madison Square Garden 13 times. We sold it out.
When was the first time? When was the first time?
What year?
Madison Square Garden.
Oh, mate,
Don't know, like
just bloody terrible with dates, but
90s.
it's on a fantail.
Oh, is it? Oh, is it? No way.
It is. It's on. I got it framed here somewhere. The fantail wrapper. I don't know what year that was.
Sold out 13
2000
times.
and something it was.
Madison Square Garden. That's a big deal. I've done a show there with an act.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Mate, so your security goes overseas.
yeah, I do around the world. I work around the world. Yeah,
Holy.
work around the world. So
No.
I want to find out more because it's just so intriguing again to see, a young guy from school that struggled through to the military, which is only a handful of human beings here in Australia have experienced that life in the military, and then transition. Most guys, again, we spoke about this earlier. Most guys transition to security or cab driving or construction. You transition into music, but not even music, into kids, like the kids production, which is it's unheard of.
Yeah. Look, it was an accident that I went to university. My sister wanted to do the mature age test. She wanted to be an early childhood teacher. The world of children for me was I'd nothing to do with it, and I never wanted to get married at that time, have kids or anything. And I dropped her off there, and I looked around, and there was just women everywhere. And I went, "Oh, Colleen, I think I'll do this test as well." And that's how I got into it. But then what I enjoyed about it was this course was all about empowering children.
Yeah.
Going where they knowing their developmental level, and then accommodating it, making them feel interested in what their world is. So it was a really great course. Yeah.
It's just wild, mate, because the way the Wiggles is now, it's almost like a global phenomenon, like in children's music. Obviously, you look at Bluey now.
Yeah.
Bluey's just hit number one in the US, which is crazy. To hit the US market from an Australian background is almost an impossible task. There's pretty much only two things in the world that have hit the US market from Australia: the Wiggles and Vegemite. At that stage, that was it. Now.
I mean, all the bands have done it, but Bluey are doing basically what we did all those years ago.
Yeah, for kids, yeah.
And hopefully we're going to have another relaunch in America. We're still very popular in Canada, but we're really going for America again, which would be great.
Yeah, right. And so just in regards to the Wiggles, obviously the original guys, there's two of you still going. Or you're still going?
No,
you're the only original.
Last of the V8s.
Last of the V8s, and the other guys have all stepped away, health reasons, and obviously getting old.
Yeah,
yeah,
but still Jeff and Murray are part of the company.
Yep,
and Jeff's just fantastic. Still relaxed. Murray's rocking and rolling with a band of his own. Greg, he had a heart attack on stage a couple of years ago.
Yeah, saw that.
That was just traumatic.
That was at the adults.
It
Wiggles,
was.
It
was a Castle Hill RSL. It was a reunion show, and Greg had a heart attack right at the last song, and that was terrible, mate. It was just dreadful.
Yeah, far out.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But you know what? There was a guy there, and fireman, and he was celebrating his last day of being a fireman. And I think he'd been in for 30 years, or even longer. And he was there, and he welcomed because it was to raise funds for the bushfire appeal. He welcomed us on stage, and then Greg had the heart attack, and the press came out later because a couple of our people and a nurse and a doctor came and helped. But the unsung hero was the firey, because he actually ran it. He said, right, someone find a defibrillator.
Yep.
Right. Then the guys were doing their, right, if you had enough to change over. It was him. His name's Jack Baldwin, and no one ever did a story on him. The classic, services. He just ducked away, didn't wait for thank you. But I think he's the one that saved Greg's life.
Yeah, right.
He was just fantastic. How many times he'd seen this. So, yeah, mate, have a rest. Come on, do it. Get the defibrillator.
Is he still a fiery now?
No, that was his last night.
Oh, was it? It was his last night.
And he saved Greg life.
Wow.
I actually told Greg about it not long ago, about a month ago, because no one had ever mentioned him, So yeah.
Might have to get him on a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about his fiery life and then
mate,
tie this in. This would be awesome.
He's one hell of a good guy, man.
Have you got your contact?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, right.
I'll tell you a funny story about. Again, sorry for the swearing if any.
No.
Jack was a mate of mine. I joined the army. He joined the fire department, and he came to visit me at Holsworthy, and in those days, you did guard duty with a basically a big stick, like no rifles, like a stick, right?
Like a beating stick.
Yeah, beating stick, right? And he was taking me back to Holsworthy, and he wound the window down, and he pretended he was me, and he went private bloody field, and he held up his license, and the guy went, yeah, like he had pretended to be me, and this is how. I won't say it was slack, but the guy went, yeah. But he did it so well. Private bloody field. He's a funny guy, but he'd be a good guy for a podcast.
Yeah,
mate. No one. I think he was one of the longest serving fireys.
Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, mate.
And ask him about that night, because he's like I found with soldiers.
Yeah.
They don't want to get like those guys that went up to Lismore and worked on the floods and for political gain they got badged.
Yeah.
But I know that those guys were just up there
just doing
working
the job.
their ass off doing their job, and then they don't ask for thanks.
Yeah, mate. There's plenty of military guys like that. Afghanistan. I've had a few SASR and 2 commando guys that have done absolutely extraordinary things over in Afghanistan. Never got recognised for it, but they don't seek recognition. They just do it because that's what they do.
Again, yeah, really good, mate. Yeah.
Now the Wiggles these days, mate. Obviously, it's totally shifted from you guys, a bunch of blokes. Now it's all it's diverse now and fits every mould, which is absolutely incredible. And how's it going now?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I really looked at our audience and I said we're really not reflecting our audience. At the time we were 4 white people with blue eyes, and that's fine. But our audience, there's all different cultures, and so I really made a conscious effort to make us gender balanced. It's 4 women, 4 men, and also throw a bit of diversity with. So mate, we've got Evie, who's First Nation Australia. We've got Katarina's, whose parents born in Italy. My daughter Lucia, her mum's straight from Greece. And we've got Johnny, who was in the Justice Crew, and he's Filipino Australian. Yeah. And Sahai, who at 6 weeks old was adopted from Ethiopia, and I'm just loving it. And for the first time ever at a Wiggles shows, we're seeing African people in the audience, African families.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And again, it's all about the kids.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
that's right, mate.
It's all about the kids. Yeah. It's crazy because obviously when Emma come in, she totally changed it. You know what I mean? And it just involved a lot more younger girls coming into it. And my kids, like everything is Emma Wiggle at home.
Yeah. So when Emma came in, it was the first time we'd had a woman.
Yeah.
Besides, we did have Taiwanese Wiggles and Spanish Wiggles. They had.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they did. But for the Australian Wiggles, yeah, and that was fantastic.
Yeah.
But I wanted to take it further.
Yeah.
And reflect culturally diverse women and men. So that's where Emma went to do Bachelor of her doctorate, but she's also doing her own stuff now.
Yeah, mate, it definitely worked. I've got 4 girls, so mate, I've filled your pockets. I can tell you that much over the last.
I think now it's 4 girls.
Yeah, mate, everything's been yellow for the last couple of years.
I think now it's there's a bit more for boys now with the Wiggles.
Yeah,
because you've got John. He's the big strong guy now.
Yeah, far out. It's just so it's just humbling to be here, mate. It's really been a pleasure to, have you on to share your story and just show the diversity of your life. You've come from that hardened life and then through to what it is today. It's amazing, mate.
Well, mate, I every time someone does a story, then I mention the army, some people write up, you get people haters, they write, may as well be a civilian 3 years. But that's all you could sign for those days. I'm very proud of I'm more proud of serving than of anything I've ever done, because it was out of my comfort zone. Met the best people, and mate, and veterans of the wars, I just have nothing but respect for them, and I've got even more respect for people like yourself who respect the peacetime veterans, because we would because there are a lot of guys who actually feel guilty that they they marched on Anzac Day, but they actually didn't go overseas for a war.
Mate, unfortunately, that was just the period that we lived in. And I was just lucky to get in.
But what you said earlier, though, as you were walking around, it was the best and the worst times.
It is the best and worst time of your life. It was just luck that I got in when there was Solomon's, Timor, Iraq, Afghanistan, and all these other trips going on. But then you look at it now. Now we've gone back to that peacetime army. There's no more Afghanistan. There's no more Iraq. There's no more Timor. There's no more Solomon Islands.
Would you want your kids to join the army?
Mate, honestly, no. Not with the current leadership that we've got in the Australian Army, and with this current stuff, obviously with the war crimes and throwing our diggers under the bus. No. Right. I think once we get a stronger leadership involved with the military, 100%. If they backed our diggers to the death, 100%. But no, not at this stage. I don't think I would.
Because you're more knowledgeable than me about that. I would love it if my boy joined, but my wife, my wife's so scared about it.
Mate, I'd love my kids to join the military. Like, military is one of the best things. But if in saying that, if they were to join the army, I'd say you can join the army, but you're not deploying overseas until we have that leadership that will back our guys.
Yeah, right.
Black and white.
Well said,
that's the issue. But as the army was the best time of my life, honestly. Yeah. And I got to do some of the best things and made some of the best mates out of it. As I said earlier, like if I had to call some guys now and say, Anthony, the Blue Wiggle's trying to bash me, I know boys down here in Sydney.
Let's get the Wiggle.
They'll be here. They'll be here in seconds. Let's get him.
Look at the size of you, mate. That's not going to happen.
No, mate, you've got nothing to worry about, mate. Again, just to tie off the podcast, mate, I've got a couple of final questions that I asked all my guests, mate. And the first question is, what advice can you give to people just to keep on keeping on? Complete any goal they set their mind to and just take it to the next level like you did. You've gone from this to a multi-million-dollar industry that's, cemented you in Australian history even.
Yeah, you know what? I reckon what I would say is, one, whatever you're doing, get knowledgeable about it, work your ass off, practice, and believe in yourself. Believe, okay, I do know what I'm doing here. This is what I do know about. Own it and stay with it. And I think, success is not just a material thing. Success is, an artist, he paints a painting. That's a beautiful painting for me. It mightn't sell, but so there's different there's commercial success, there's emotional success, or the person who enjoys helping people. You're not going to make $1 million out of volunteering somewhere, but gee, if that's what you want to do, man. So I think it's just about you. If you want to do something, learn about it, become the best at it you can, and stay with it, and also believe in yourself that you know what this is about.
Yeah, spoken like a true Tiger supporter.
Yeah, man. Yeah, exactly, man. Oh, jeez.
Just believe in yourself, boys.
Yeah.
Who knows? You might have a new owner soon.
Oh, no. That was a lunch.
That blew out quick, didn't it?
It was, mate. It was just me and my big mouth when I had a few.
Mate, you did well. That's good marketing ploy there, mate. It worked.
Mate, you know what? If I won the Italian lottery, I'd try and do it.
Yeah. Mate, buy a different team.
No, I love the Tigers.
We're Broncos through and through. Yeah. Mate, second question, what is the plans for the future now? I don't want to, point out the obvious, but you're getting on. And, the Wiggles it's a very, like as we've just been down in the studio, and it's a very young bunch. Yeah. It's a different world these days. What's your plans, mate?
Yeah, I want to just see the Wiggles to the next stage. We want to try and get back in America. We've got lots and lots of views on YouTube, but we want to get bigger. So we've got a green screen studio just in the front. I don't know if you saw it when you came in.
Yeah.
That, believe it or not, we haven't done green screen for years, but I think that's where we're going to go next. So we want to grow the business. Believe it or not, I want to see it happen. And I love playing music.
Yeah.
So I just keep playing music, mate. They have to carry me out.
Yeah. Mate, any revival of the Cockroaches?
Oh, no.
That's so long gone.
No, it's gone, mate.
Yeah, nice, mate. And third question. Now, this one generally gets people a little bit like, oh, shit, I can't believe you just asked that. Not like that, but, mate, just tell us something that people don't know about you. You're a famous human being here in Australia and around the world, mate. I reckon 99% of kids around the world know exactly who the Blue Wiggle is and have seen, and we all do. So, mate, tell us something that people don't know about you, like a guilty obsession, something. There's got to be something that you eat, that no one knows about you.
I don't know if people probably do know about it, but I love dogs. I love them so much. I used to breed mini foxies, and also bicycles. And I'll tell you, this is kind of crazy, but luckily, because the Wiggles make a bit of money, the guys, I'll tell you, sometimes when I get off the antidepressants, through no fault of my own, or I decide I don't need them anymore, I go a bit manic, and I'll either buy a bicycle or a dog. And recently we were in Griffith, and I've got bicycles at home, and I was racing to this bike shop, and Simon rang me. He said, I said, Simon, I just realised I haven't been taking I've been taking I wasn't taking my antidepressants for last week. I think I'm flying high, mate, but I've got to buy this bicycle. So, mate, the mental, I go a bit manic, and I buy either bicycles or dogs. So once time, I had 8 dogs. So it's a bit craziness in there still. But at least it's not drugs or something like that.
Yeah. It could be worse, mate. Bloody hell. Might have to get into greyhound racing.
Yeah. No, they're all little dogs.
Mini foxies.
Mini foxies,
I love
mini
them.
pincers.
Yeah,
I love them, mate.
Yeah, right, mate. Mate, again, that's actually one final question. Who is your? I already know this answer. Elvis. Far out. I was about to say who's your ultimate artist that you would love to meet, or and. Probably Elvis.
Oh, mate, Elvis to me is everything. Every woman wanted to be with him. Every guy wanted to be him.
Yeah.
His music's incredible. He seemed like a really nice man, very generous.
Yeah.
Just a good guy, mate. And he kept out of, they'd ask him about all sorts of things, and he just kept out of political. He just kept himself. They said, I'm an entertainer.
He just wanted music.
He did his time in the army.
Yeah.
And, served his country proudly. I really love Elvis, I still love him. I loved when he was, the Burger King, as they call him, the Kung Fu stuff. I love all the eras of Elvis.
What do you think of that recent movie?
I thought it was really good.
I thought it was good, yeah. I really liked it.
It showed, Colonel Tom was bloody manipulating him.
Yeah.
He was a bit of a prisoner, poor guy, best singer in the world. And, he ended up pretty lonely,
And that's how a lot of those artists turn up. You know, even
Yeah.
these days, it's the same thing. They just turn that money, and the managers generally take control, or marketing, or their promoters take control. And
I think again, surrounding yourself with honest people who'll tell you, you know, like, no, that doesn't suit you. Now imagine someone should have said that to Elvis, or, you know, mate, you're hitting the prescription jugs a bit hard.
Yeah.
Drugs. No one said it, you know.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and actually, like, it brings me back to, just quickly, mate, obviously back to 2011, 2012, what I was reading is that the Wiggles went through a bit of a financial hardship, and you guys had to put your own money in to keep it floating and keep it going.
Yeah, it was when Greg left, we had to, you know, buy Greg out because he was leaving.
Yeah.
But it basically put us into a lot of debt.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars of debt, and again, you had to. I believed in it, so I just
Turn it around and
kept going, mate. Let's do it.
and here we are.
Yeah.
Mate, again, really appreciate you coming down here to Sydney, inviting us here into the studios, Wiggle, the Hot Potato Studios. Actually, it was funny when I was messaging you. I'm like, I Googled it, and I was like, Hot Potato Studios.
Is it in the Google?
Yeah, it's in Google.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's in
wow.
Google.
Jeez,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's in Google. I typed in Wiggle Studio and it comes up, obviously, Hot Potato Studio. I'm like,
Yeah,
how ironic. Like,
mate.
is this really it, or is this...
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not that.
But, and then
Yeah, mate.
you said, yeah, mate, that's it. That's the one.
Yeah,
But
great, mate.
really appreciate you giving
I
me time.
appreciate what you've done for our country, mate.
No,
Thank you. Yeah,
thank you,
good
mate.
on
Thank you.
mate. Mate,
You did
yeah.
your country
mate.
proud, mate, and obviously, mate, it's been a privilege.
Oh,
so
same, mate.
thank you, and
Lovely talking to you,
we'll
mate.
definitely stay in contact, mate.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure to message you every time the Broncos play the Tigers.
We got to do it.
I'm diehard Broncos.
Yeah.
Like diehard,
Yeah.
like bad, like real
They're
bad.
good,
Like
they're good guys, man.
Yeah.
Their club's good at it.
yeah.
Like,
Well, our cousin, he played back in the early '90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, he Paul Morris.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he played and busted his knee and then had to retire. He did his ACL and that was it. Because back in those days,
That wasn't Slippery Morris, no.
No. Paul Morris. He
Paul-
played probably about 8 games for the
Yeah.
Broncos. Did his ACL, and obviously the technology back then. As soon as you did your ACL, that was it. There was
yeah.
no fix. Now look at Dewey, mate. It's the third time he's done his ACL,
I
and
know.
but
Yeah.
it just shows the technology in the
Yeah.
medical side of things. But yeah, he's a great footballer.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one bit of advice for the Tigers, like, don't let players go. You let go Tedesco, you let go Ado Carr, Harry Grant, who was,
Oh, mate.
how many other players?
Pappenhausen.
Ryan Pappenhausen.
Mate, the year that they but that was a dark year of my life.
yeah.
The year also Robbie Farah spent his whole career. He's a lovely man. He's a club man.
Yeah.
He just wanted to start, finish that year,
Start fresh.
and he was prevented by the coach.
Yeah.
Put him in reserve grade with Josh Adokar.
Yeah.
That says everything to me, mate. It was so hard.
Yeah.
And poor Robbie, I mean, yeah, he didn't deserve that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he let a lot of great players go.
Oh.
Mitch Moses.
The list goes on.
Yeah.
Mate, the Broncos started doing that a couple of years ago. We started letting go all these young, like Fafita and all these, Reece Walsh,
Well,
for example.
Fafita came from Tigers.
Yeah, we did too. Yeah, yeah. And then we let him go. You know.
Yeah.
Then we let Reece Walsh go.
Reece
And
Walsh.
now we got him back again.
How good is he? And he loves you guys much more than he did.
He's at that stage now where I'm putting it out to every single Queenslander out there. Let's pay him. You know, if we can get 1 million people to throw in $1 each, we'll give him $1 million a year from the people just to keep him there. Him and Payne Haas.
Guy. He's
Yeah.
just great.
Yeah,
I love him.
great,
He's good.
great.
Yeah.
But mate, again, thank you for
no
coming
worries, mate.
on.
Matt Lodge, he was Tiger.
Yeah.
Now,
He's in the Roosters now. He's
but
just
he
about to
went
leave. I
he
think
went to
I think there's
Broncos.
talks about him moving
Yeah.
on at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Hopefully he comes back. I want him back.
Yeah. Well, you guys got one of my best mates out there in the rugby league world, Marty Tapau.
Yeah.
He's a good man.
Mate, he's such a hard footballer
Yeah,
too.
good fella.
And I was really happy that we picked him up. Obviously, it was, it would have been good for the salary
Tigers-
cap for us, which was
He
great.
told me that he went to the Tigers and they didn't
want to borrow it.
want him. Well,
Mate,
I'm not going to say anything.
Well, we'll see how you can turn these Wiggles in the next few years. Maybe you might be able to buy those bloody Tigers.
Oh,
and
mate, I think they're doing well though. Tim Sheens, I like him, and I like
Yeah.
Benji, and I like Robbie.
They
Yeah.
showed promise on the weekend.
They did. You know,
They showed promise, and
Yeah.
they've obviously won 2 in a row. before that 2 in a row.
Yeah.
I reckon they'll do well. I'm tipping top 8.
Last
I'm calling
question from me to you. So in the army, there was people from Western Australia, from Victoria. So the AFL guys,
Yeah.
and the rugby league guys, it really was, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Did you get to watch AFL? Because I still didn't get it.
Mate, I've watched probably one AFL game, and I was sat there for 3 hours and like, what is this rubbish?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Put some longer pants on, for starters, and who wears singlets? You know, like this is come on. I can't stand AFL.
Yeah.
I think it's. I could say a non-political word, but I'm not going to say it. But
that's great, mate.
I don't enjoy it. I love my rugby league. We grew up watching, and we're staunch Queenslanders too.
Yeah.
So you'll be getting messages in a couple of weeks for the
Origin.
It's Origin time, mate. This is where war comes out. This is war.
Yeah, it is war.
Yeah,
Mate, those early days were just, they were wild.
they were awesome. Yeah,
They were wild.
different times.
Yeah.
But mate. Again, sorry,
thanks,
we just rambled on about the football for the last 10 minutes. Thanks, mate, and we'll stay in contact.
Good on you, mate.